The UFL Week 6 recap edition of the UFL Gambling Podcast is on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog just launched their new ladders game where you can win up to 500 times your end entry. Plus, when you use code SGPN, you get up to $1,000 in bonus cash. We're also brought to you by Edge Boost, the bank account built for bettors. Sign up today at edgeboost.bet with promo code SGPN and get a $25 matching deposit bonus. And with that, I ask you. Oh,
is there anything better than the
And that was my one sound bite. J. Mark. Welcome to the UFL Gambling Podcast. I am your host, Bet Detective, along with J. Mark here. We are minus Colby picks Dundee, so we promise a more positive show towards the league. But it will not have as many crazy sound bites and drops. Or I didn't give it I should have done the impression. Yes. And then he's just got that litany of drops. I did put up a few.
Who is this guy? He's got like every meme ever produced on the internet. He can knock us out with his memes. And I do. I have tons of memes. I'll just keep memeing them to death until they just surrender because they just can't do it.
No, we do not. But we're going to try our best. Maybe be more of a subdued show, as we say. We're not cranked in your face, though. Although he does it out of love for the UFL. Yeah, this would be a great week for him to come in, though, with his Birmingham Stallions winning big, and a lot of good things happen, like we were talking about. I am your host, the Bet Detective, Laddie Daddy, host of the Bottom Line Bombs at Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Make sure you subscribe to that. And J. Mark of Old Fashioned Football. Welcome, J. Mark. How we doing?
Doing good. Yeah. Colby down there getting some cocaine in Colombia, or maybe that's not what he's doing. I don't know. But
right. We should have said where he is. Yeah. He's in
right.
He is in Colombia. It's impossible not to do a cocaine joke when you go to Colombia. Although the missus is from there. I'm sure he'll love it down there. He would look good as a cartel, kind of white cartel, like that the white, like Narcos, the white guy who blends in.
Yeah, he can pull it off.
Yeah, he goes in undercover, but then he goes in too far, and he starts becoming part of the culture down there, and they just start loving him.
Yeah, I could see it happening. Yeah, it's going good. It was a interesting week. My picks were terrible. I cashed DFS though, so at least I can hang my hat on something.
Yeah, you cashed DFS. It was another high scoring week for DFS where you had to have the right guys, or you didn't really have in contention there. But the sides and totals, I had a good week. I went 6-2, 3-1 on the sides, 3-1 on the totals. Some of them played out the way we wanted, the way we thought was going to happen. Some did not. Mainly that St. Louis game. I had St. Louis. I think you did too. Did you not? Or did you have Arlington on that one?
I had Arlington. I thought they were going to beat them. But Luis Perez looked like Luis Perez.
Yeah.
He's reverting back to his old form.
Yeah, he sure did. We might as well hop into that one. That's the Friday night game. And we were talking about the Friday night games have just not been good. No. They want it to be just like, Friday Night Lights thing. And no one's on board for that. And even this game that was at St. Louis, there happened to be a Blues game across the street that they were probably a little more focused on. But there's still obviously a good crowd. There always is there for St. Louis. But that game was terrible. 12-6 was the final score. 210 yards for Arlington, 171 for St. Louis. Perez, my favorite Perez play there was when they got the fumble on the 5-yard line or 10-yard line. There was 9-3. I'm like, oh boy, because I had St. Louis. Like, here we go. Arlington's going to sneak this game in, and I'm going to hit the over. And Perez tried his best to throw a 90-yard pick six. He threw it right at him. He just dropped the ball, and they're like, what are you doing? They ran the ball right after that. No more Perez going in there. Like, it was hilarious. Like, what are you doing, Perez? You just got a gift.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and this is what I get for picking Arlington and saying how good Luis Perez has looked. Maybe I jinxed him. I'll take credit for that because we all know, if you've tuned in, I am a Luis Perez hater.
You are.
I don't think he's as good as the cult following does. And this is exactly one of those games where it looks like classic Perez. I mean, he looked unathletic on some of those fumbles and trying to get out of the pressure. He threw the very questionable calls. I mean, it was bad.
Yeah. And I think Sean Green labeled him the Queen of Spring on a text thread. And I'll defend him a little bit. I mean, there was a lot of fumbles, not just him. Like, he had a receiver, and receiver had a huge fumble. I mean, he only had that one pick, but they had 4 turnovers, and that's, of course, it was the game. Max Dugan didn't even look great. He ran for 50 yards. He had that one awesome run that he got tackled at the one where he spun backwards in. I don't know what the fuck he was doing, or he spun backwards into it. And then, of course, they got a goal line stand and can't score from there with a horrendous fade to Butler. Then Butler dropped one, but the 2 rushes got stuffed. But Butler did have his one big touchdown. We did have him in the DFS. That seems to be his MO right now. He has 1 or 2 catches a game in there for touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, and at a point when they were in the goal line there, I thought they were kind of forcing it. Like, it was very obvious what they were going to be doing, but he did end up with the touchdown, so that paid off. This St. Louis team, since Colby's not here, I think we can say it, because you and I have both kind of praised Tony Meatball and not being as bad of a coach as Colby has said. I like the way he's rolled the team right to Max Duggan after Wilkins' injury. I like the way the defense is playing despite injuries. I mean, he's got them believing.
He does, and he does rally. I mean, they definitely play for him. You could tell that, and he seems to obviously a player's coach, a man who's played in the NFL for so long. And I will say he got a little Tony. He sometimes will still get a little Tony Meatballish, and one was giving Arlington life by putting a punt block on when it was 9-0, and Arlington showed no hopes of moving the ball or scoring points. Just played, and they put a punt block on. They get a rough in the punter. Arlington gets a field goal out of it, and they gave him life really after that. And then towards the end, he kind of settled down. He's like, I'm just going to kick a field goal. They can't score a touchdown, when that 4th and 1 from the 35, which I don't know. It's questionable if you want to kick a field goal there or not, but I can see what he's thinking. Like, oh, Arlington's not going to score a touchdown. We got the Queen of Spring back there.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of Arlington, Derek checking in. I know you guys don't normally discuss current week lines on the recap show, but how the fuck is Michigan a pick 'em against Arlington? Is there an injury I don't know about? Betting the mortgage on Michigan. I think everybody's afraid that the coach is going to say, let's put Danny Etling back in there.
Right. Yeah. Well, right. Not to peek ahead too forward into that, but that is a good question, especially how good Michigan looked there. And Perkins, of course. And it was such a hot my initial reaction to that is anytime you want to put the mortgage on something, you should have a red flag. That's right. Just as a gambler, I would say that. And of course, everyone saw Perkins play on a prominent game. It seemed like he kind of went viral almost, like real athletes were chiming in, like, who is this guy? This guy's amazing, and he was. But yeah, I'd pump the brakes a little bit on that. We'll look at that in the pick'em game, obviously. But yeah, of course, Michigan looks like the best team right now. I mean, not to sneak preview my power rankings, but yeah, they hard to come off of a 400-yard game and then not be impressed with them.
For sure.
Real quickly, let me just tell you about the get up to tell him and everyone to get all of our free picks and podcasts on our convenient app. Download the SGPN app in your app store today. All right, and we're back. How was Dean Blandino in this situation? We haven't chimed in on Blandino in a while.
I almost mute the TV every time they go to him because he always says something that aggravates me.
Yeah.
And even Mike Pereira this weekend, there was one. He's like, well, there's some holding, there's some tugging, maybe a push there. But I'm not going to call it. We're not going to call that one. It's like,
no. I'll give Blandino this. He is definitely at least committed to the UFL because he thinks he can't believe he's in this situation. So he's doing all his calls. Everything he says is ridiculous. Like Pereira, I think, is phoning it in a bit,
Yeah.
Plus, it gets me to see this Wade Phillips soundbite about Blandino when he goes, Blandino, you're killing me up there. It's like I just like son of a bum talking to Blandino.
Right.
All right. So that was the first game. We got that out of the way. Then we went to the Saturday morning game, and it was Memphis-Houston. Houston snuck by 21-20. This is a game we predicted pretty accurately. We said there's too many points for Houston to be laying at 4.5. We took the points with Memphis. I like the over as well as a short over 36.5 because both offenses were looking better than they were a couple weeks ago. That's the thing when you break down these UFL games and you're like, 3 weeks ago they played 18-17. Yeah, 3 weeks ago was a completely different roster.
For sure.
Week by week, Then you have McClendon in there. You have Wynn in there for Memphis. Hills looked good. I mean, Wynn looked good again. Threw for 200 yards, 64%, a touchdown and a pick. This Memphis team, they showed some zip. They actually I think they outplayed Houston. The yardage was 287 to 209. The fumble for a touchdown obviously was the huge difference. That's how Houston got in. And then you had a coaching mastermind going between these two, of course. What did you think about this game?
Yeah, I mean, I think Showboat should have won this game. You're absolutely right. I mean, Curtis Johnson, I'll give him credit for one thing. His defenses do tend to score. And
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that's him or just the guys that they have put on the team, but they do tend to score. So I guess credit there. However, this should have been the Boats game. I do think they played better overall. Houston just squeaking wins out. It's really interesting. It's almost unfortunate that Michigan won because Houston's got 2 matchups coming up against Michigan, and they could have really been in that playoff race if they could manage to beat them twice. So, I mean, we're not putting our futures on Houston, I don't think. Anyways, I'm not, but
No.
they've played better. I think just a couple weeks ago we talked you could get them to win over 1.5 games, and now they've hit that. So,
yeah, they've won 3 or 4.
Yeah. So, credit to them for, I guess, playing better, not being the garbage team that we had them at the beginning of the season. We'll leave that for the Brahmas. And yeah, the Boats too. I mean, they looked good. Dresser Wynn, I think we say it all the time. The 3rd string quarterback's the best one on the team, right?
Right. Amazing. And Dresser Wynn was great. And McClendon, of course, his normal self, 150 yards, touchdown, 71%. Zippy White, as that's now how I call him, looked good again, 50 yards rushing. One thing stood out was Jay Hall. He's clearly his number one. He likes him a lot.
Yeah.
He had 7 targets, and McClendon kind of focuses his own on him. Houston, other than that week 1 disaster, which everyone saw, and you have Curtis Johnson as a coach, that combination is hard to rub from your memory, But other than that, they've showed signs, and now that they put McClendon in, they do have potential. Like you said, the defense makes big plays.
Yeah,
McClendon has an NFL live arm out there. Problem is Curtis Johnson, and I just don't trust him quite overall as a big favorite like that. So I'll fade him maybe I'm sure the line will tick down now that happened there. But you're right. It's a shame Memphis didn't get that W because they have something coming in. They have in the future they could do some damage.
Yeah, and then something interesting. Well, first of all, Wes Hills comes to the team,
Mm-hmm.
leads the team and carries right away with 13. I thought he looked pretty good, especially for his first game back. But their top wide receiver, D. Anderson, 7 targets, 5 catches, 47 yards. He's been traded to the Brahmas. For cornerback Darius Phillips.
What the hell's going on here? I mean, now I'm going to pull out my Colby. What's going on? Where crossroads meets bullshit? What's going on in this league? What makes sense of that?
Yeah, I mean, Phillips has been all right. He's posted 14 tackles, 3 pass breakups with the Brahmas. So at least it's not a guy who has no stats. But their top target as wide receiver traded him away for a cornerback. I don't think they were a cornerback away from competing. So I don't know if I quite understand that move.
These UFL trades are hilarious. I mean, they're just like these 1-for-1, like nickel cornerback, some guy or a linebacker wasn't played all year, and they're going to like these bottom end teams that kind of like lull you to sleep. Like why? Who's trading for this? What do they need? I don't understand. It has to be some kind of disciplinary reasons. Like I'll trade and get someone else to play for you.
It's the politics, right?
Yeah. Speaking of the UFL, nonsense, if we will, because you do got to cover. It's part of the lore when you're playing UFL. It's a league trying to get its footing. It's a lot of shady activity. You have to trust it. Did you see? I'm sure you have, where they tried to change the playoff system mid-season to get St. Louis in, basically.
Yeah. And I saw a lot of Battlehawks fans saying that's not why they're doing it. It's like, okay, whatever. But yeah, the winner of the USFL conference and the XFL conference automatically goes in. Right. And they said, why don't we just put, the next 2 best teams in? It doesn't matter what conference they're in. Very interesting to try to do that. Like, if you want to make that change, I think it makes sense in a 8-team league. That makes sense, but you don't do it mid-season. You do that before the season starts.
Yeah, I agree. I kind of like the move. Like, I do like that. I think that's actually a more fair way to do it. Who are the best teams? You should get something for winning the division. You shouldn't get anything for coming second in your division of 4 teams. Like, that should not be rewarded. But you're right. You don't change midstream. We're not the NBA here. We don't just make things up so Kobe and Shaq can get more games on TV like they did. That's a little nugget. That they went the best of 7 first round when just to get Kobe and Shaq more games, like in February. It was crazy. Nick Fortune chiming in here 6 weeks into books. Any team that's shocked by their performance. J Mark, you want to start with that?
I mean, it's hard not to be shocked by MV Perkins. looking like the MVP of the league now that they are finally starting him.
Shocking.
The other thing for me is just Birmingham has not been the same team. Now, I know that we'll get to it when we talk about them, but the injuries at quarterback have been really bad luck for Birmingham. But just their lack of dominance against teams, minus this weekend, but they did play a terrible team. It's been a little surprising to watch. I thought they would come in and kind of be the same team, roll everybody, and be playing in the championship. I'm not sure they will be.
No, not at all. And you're right about that. I've been impressed. I still am impressed by DC, even after that loss. I think they've seemed pretty motivated. And they put up points in offense, and because of the coaching overhaul, basically, when Barlow and Phillips, everyone just got out of town a week before the season started, and then you had the doorman running the show. I'm like, well, this could be a disaster, but it turned out all right. And even in that loss, we'll get to that next year. I'm gonna do a quick ad read, but then we'll get to that DC game next. But like even then, I still think they're fighting down admirably.
Yeah.
But first, let me tell you guys about an incredible. Oh, yep, there we go. Sorry, you got ahead of me. I got ahead of you. The Circa Resort Casino in Las Vegas is giving away the ultimate fantasy football experience for a 12-person league to draft in Vegas and be treated like VIPs for their stay. This is great. Winner gets a 2-night stay at Circa Resort and Casino for an entire 12-person league, 6 double king rooms, so buddy up, fellas. Hold their draft at the Cabana at Stadium Swim with a $5,000 food and beverage credit. That should get you at least 2 bottles worth. And limo transportation and to and from the airport. I've been in that Circa limo. It is nice, and it makes a splash when you come in. A welcome party at the Legacy Club for the league, which is an incredible place on the rooftop. A reservation at the world's largest sports book with $500 beverage credit for the league. 2-hour open bar package for League Overhang Bar. Contest duration May 5th through June 30th. Enter by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/circa. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/circa. Also brought to you by Edge Boost. You want to pull that one up? There you go. Look at that. We're like fucking Stockton and Malone. Edge Boost is the first ever bank account built for bettors, ensuring all gambling transactions are approved. No usage fees, no minimums, earn cash back rewards. 100% approval for all betting deposits. Sign up today at edgeboost.bet. with promo code SGPN. Deposit $25 and Edge Boost will match that deposit. That's edgeboost.bet, promo code SGPN. And of course, we got to talk to you about Underdog. Like that. Underdog just launched their new game, Ladders. I wonder where they came up with that idea. Not from the Laddie Daddy. Win up to 500 times watching your favorite players climb the ladder. So sign up with promo code SGPN to claim your special pick and first-time deposit up to $1,000 in bonus credits at underdogfantasy.com. Promo code SGPN. All right. And we are back. One thing about that Circa party, I like that. 12 entries. So if you have 14 people in your fantasy league, 2 of them can zoom in. All right. Because they don't go to 12. But 12 is what you should do for fantasy anyway. You're a fantasy guy, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think 12 is the perfect spot. 10 is not enough competition at 10, I feel like, because there's so much talent on the waivers. But yeah, 14, you start shooting guys at the flex that it's like, I don't know, he might get 2 points, And
if you get an injury in a 14-team league, good night, nurse. You're done. You're not replacing that,
Yeah, agreed.
10-team, you're right. The talent's too rich, and you have too many lineup decisions to make, which I hate in fantasy, obviously, because whatever choice you make, you're going to make the worst one when you're picking up from top talent. So that just stresses me out. But anyway. All right. So that wraps up that. Now let's get into that DC Michigan game, which I think is the game everyone was talking about over the weekend, where Michigan just absolutely rolled DC 38-14. Like we said, 400 yards of offense. DC had 325 yards, but Perkins had highlight play after highlight play. Like you said, he's now, if there is an MVP, is there an MVP market that we've got a hold of? I forgot about that.
Not that I've found.
Yeah,
no.
I never saw one either. He had 180 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had looked great on the ground, though, too. 9 for 76 for touchdowns. But like I said, he went viral. He had athletes saying he should start for the Jets this week. I mean, like he looked great. I had the over. I had DC. Here's what I'll say about DC. And obviously, Michigan is the right side. I'm not going to argue that Michigan wasn't the right side. But DC had 325 yards of offense. Tamu had 259 and a couple touchdowns. That opening drive, that goal line stand where they got stuffed, and that kind of set a tone. Then they had another one where they had a leaping penalty called against them on fourth penalty. I mean, sometimes the leaping, what are we talking about here? So they kind of kept up with them, but not as much. Michigan flexed their muscles and played better. But I didn't come away saying, "Oh wow, DC doesn't belong on the same field as them." I think they held up okay.
Yeah, I think the score maybe isn't a good representation of this game. Somebody's just going to look at the score and just be like, wow, Panthers are that much better. They did look like the better team, but some of that was just bad luck that led to those scoring opportunities. Right. The most interesting thing for me with DC is Abram Smith. It looks like they have said, hey, he's taking a back seat. He took 5 carries, just 11 yards, and it was Deion Jackson that had the 10 carries. So it seems like they've kind of given up on that. Chris Rowland, he was the DFS stud. I think you had him in your lineup as well.
I did too. 9 for 144 and a touchdown. I mean, he was amazing, and that's what Tommy does. He throws these deep balls to him. He gives him a chance to go up and get it, and they have big explosive plays like that. Yeah,
absolutely. And then I don't know, the DC defense, the first week or two after Greg was gone, I thought, well, they're going to be all right. They still look just as good. Right. It seems like maybe some of that has worn off. I don't know if it's the game planning isn't as good or what's happening there, but the defense definitely has stepped backward now.
For sure. And our guy Toe ran for 94 yards and a touchdown. He was a DFS steal. I'm sure everyone was on at 5,800. He is clearly the number one back. Although McCrary even got a chance. Like everyone got to eat in this Michigan game. That's for sure. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's people vaulting Michigan number one. They had that roster. Their defense too, as well, is not the same defense that we're used to when it comes to the Michigan Panthers. Like DC kind of had their way with them the week before. St. Louis put a bunch of points on them. It was a great bounce back game for them at home. What was the home crowd there, Michigan? I never checked that out. Was there a graduation there? Or?
I don't think it was very packed. I didn't see what the official number was, but as always, not very packed. They need to do something about that. I forgot to mention on that Houston game, Coach K reached out. He's a season ticket holder for the Roughnecks, and he said they got an email guaranteeing a Roughnecks win before the game. So show up, and then 800 people showed up.
That's probably the easiest guarantee you can do, because or your money back. All right, I'll flip the bill for the 50 people that showed up.
I don't know. The league has to do something with this, and I know they're more about the broadcast, but that hasn't been the best either. It's down from last year, so they got to do something to get people to these games. You wouldn't think it would be that hard to get people interested in going out for a football game on Saturday.
No, 100%. And like we said last week, they've checked in. They claim attendance is up and the ratings are down, which I don't know which one's good or which one's bad there in that situation. Chicken or the egg, but I know some of it. I think maybe some of the towns as well. I think they should go for more like small college town twos that are like rivalries or something like that. Like two Ohio teams, that don't like each other. That could be interesting. Or just have like pockets of rivalries that are already set up through colleges.
Yeah, no, I would think that'd be a good idea. I saw somebody post on the X that if they had kept New Orleans, they would have the best crowd in the league.
Yeah, why is that?
I don't know about that.
Why is that? I will say, I think taking it away from Seattle was a mistake. Maybe you could, just look for towns that like miss football, like St. Louis, like put one in Oakland. You know what I mean, or something like that. I mean, those teams that obviously shows there's a hunger. What is going on in St. Louis? Why do they love them so much? Now it's getting weird to me, actually, to be honest with you. Like, why are 30,000 of you at this Battlehawk game?
I'm sure you've been to St. Louis and the Midwest plenty of times. No, there's really not much else to be doing right now.
That's a good point. That's for sure. They have that main street of brew pubs. You get to yell at fans, and you have Blues, and the Blues have been knocked out in one of the greatest hockey games ever. Northeast Ohio does need a team, John Colough. You're right. I mean, Ohio is the mecca of football. It's got the home of it, Canton. You know what I mean? There's so many other towns. You got Ohio and Pennsylvania. Those are, the big 33, as they say, the high school blockbuster teams. I mean, it makes sense to have Ohio to have a football team.
Yeah, and they playing at Canton just makes too much sense. I mean, the original USFL league having their playoffs there, I went to that, and just the feeling of being there at Canton, it just felt like football. It felt meant to be there. So the reason, or the idea that they don't have a team there or play the playoffs there or something is kind of crazy to me.
Yeah, 100% there. And Canton also you say nothing to do in St. Louis. There is nothing to do in Canton, Ohio once you visit that Hall of Fame.
Right.
All the Hall of Fames, though. Springfield, Massachusetts, horrible place. And up there where the Basketball Hall of Fame is, my mother was born there. We still get excited anytime someone died in our family because we get to go to the Hall of Fame. My dad would get all excited, But other than that, you get the hell out of Springfield. But yeah, Canton does make perfect sense though to have. They should have the Super Bowl there or whatever they call the championship game.
Yeah, agreed.
All right. Well, let's go to the last game then. We got San Antonio, Birmingham. This was an odd game. This Birmingham wound up taking care of business, 26-3. I was on the under. I was on Birmingham, although I did not feel good about it, especially after news came out after we went on the air where Kevin Hogan was finally being the starting quarterback. And I'm like, and the line went up to 10. I kind of like taking the 10 there. Tell you what, Hogan did not look bad. He gave him a clean pocket. He threw for 179 yards, 65%. That huge drop by John Kirkland, and that would have been a touchdown. He put it right in the breadbasket there. That's what they say. You give him a clean pocket. I like when I say that. You give him a clean pocket. He can hurt you. Yeah, you give any quarterback a clean pocket. Sure, that's the point of football. You're not going to get a clean pocket. You're not going to be able to sit back there like a video game for 10 seconds. You have to make something happen. But he did, and then Kirkland dropped the ball, and it became a huge highlight. And then he went into the stands to punish himself, and he sat in an empty seat. And as they like to easy joke there, plenty of seats available for him to find. The opposite of the Lambeau Leap. That was just embarrassing. And from there on, I was like, okay, they have no chance.
Yeah, this game was rough. Things that don't make sense for 1,000. Anthony McFarland, 2 carries.
I know. What is going on?
I don't understand it.
They couldn't run the ball at all. Well, then try with him. Give him the ball. I mean, let's. How about we try to establish it? By giving him more than 2 carries.
Yeah, and I think he's 3rd or 4th in the league in rushing yards.
Right.
But you know how Colby grades this? It should be like per attempt, like for Bryce Perkins for a while. He was saying, I mean, that makes Anthony McFarland the best running back in the league because he's only averaging like 6 or 7 carries a game.
Yeah.
It's insane that he's 3rd and 4th. And they're not giving him the ball more. I don't understand it. It's a terrible coaching decision.
It is. And like I said, Hogan looked okay. Justin Smith had a nice game. That was good to see him come back in the stat line when he had a real quarterback throwing the ball. 5 for 108 yards.
Yeah.
Birmingham, another thing that got me more weary of Birmingham after we aired, and not only the Kevin Hogan news, but then Skip Holtz saying that Peasley was going to get some reps in there, the 4-string quarterback, no matter what. I'm like, what? You bring in Wyoming quarterback Peasley, and who couldn't even start at Utah State, I do think he does have the tools to be a good UFL quarterback, actually. He kind of fits it more there than he does in the NFL.
Yeah, and I haven't heard results. I know he's getting an MRI, but it sounds like he's probably going to be out for the year now too, so I guess his opportunity is done for this year.
It's nice to know you, Peasley. Thank you and good night. 179 yards, 9.9 average. That was and a bad fumble, but
yeah, and they put Matt Corral on the injured reserve. He's not expected to be back until the playoffs if he's back by then. Magoo should be back next week or 2 weeks, they said. Coach did say he's going to put Cookus in a bubble, and they did sign Jamar Smith again, even though he retired. Then he got signed, then dropped, then signed, then dropped. Now he signed again.
Oh, man. What is going on with that quarterback rotation? And what's going on with the IR? Sometimes that means 2 weeks. Sometimes it means the season. I mean, are there any rules to this?
I don't think so. I mean, I allegedly heard it was, I think, a 5-week thing, but I've seen guys come back quicker from it. So I don't know. I don't know what the rules are. There are none.
There are no rules. Case Cookus looked fine. 166 yards, couple touchdowns, a couple big plays. San Antonio just looked terrible. That's just what they are. I mean, no matter what, even with the Hogan little juice to it, they just can't execute. And they don't try to run the ball. It's just bizarre. 178 yards of offense. Birmingham had 313, which is okay. I'd want them to get more actually against San Antonio. I know Colby was talking about the big Sunday in Birmingham Church Day where the crowd was going to be packed. It did not look like that when Kirkland jumped into an empty section behind the end zone. But I mean, they did what they had to do. So that's all I can say about that.
Yeah. And then they had 313 yards to the Brahmas 178, but you'd expect them to have more. Their yards per play, only 0.7 yards more than the Brahmas.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what I was saying earlier about this team. They're just not dominating. Even though the score is 26-3, they're not dominating on the field. And that's I don't think they're making the championship personally.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get to that in our power rankings right after this. Let's do a quick ad read. When we come back, we'll see how we rate all these teams after week 6 as we're coming down to the home stretch here in the UFL. But first, let me tell you about Rhythm. Rhythm is your home for AI-backed picks and props. Dominate the NBA playoffs and MLB prop market with Rhythm. Build your own model. Simple and easy. He knows you'll love it. That's why they include a 7-day free trial. Rhythm has some amazing deals going on now. 25% off monthly subscription with promo code SGPN25. 50% off annual subscription with promo code SGPN50. That's Rhythm, RITHMM. Promo code SGPN25 or SGPN50. Get your 7-day free trial. sportsgamingpodcast.com/rhythm. Also brought to you by MyBookie. MyBookie, wherever I bet, he bets. MyBookie AG. MyBookie is your place to get bet on every sport, including the NBA playoffs, plus props for every game. For the true D-Gens, the MyBookie money bag. That's where it spins the wheel and gives you a random bet. MyBookie accepts customers from a ton of locations, easy deposit and lightning fast payouts using crypto. Head to mybookie.ag, promo code SGPN, or your promo code. I just did a Will Ferrell there from Anchorman, Ron Burgundy. For 100% deposit match up to $1,000. Terms and conditions apply. That's mybookie.ag, promo code SGPN. All right. We are back. You have any of those models from Rhythm, J Mark? I can see you punching in some numbers, maybe a little whiskey in there, make your own brew and get yourself a good model. I wonder if I can get a nice UFL model, if the computer would even know how to handle this data.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I've certainly used it for the NFL. I've not tried to see if there's anything in there for UFL, but no, it's always fun throwing those together and trying to make sense of it. Because
and we should say, when we say model, it's not like you are being a analytics mathematician. They help you. They help you right through it. You just put your stats in there. You swipe some stats and it comes up with something for you.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes it very easy to use. Even I can use it. So.
Look at that. Now that is an ad read. That's what we should put. We get that in there. That's
right.
At the real quick, we were at the Rhythm pool party in Vegas a couple weeks ago. CEO was there. Jamie Gold, the celebrity poker player, is there, and I told them that I do a song for my ad read, a jingle. The rhythm's gonna bet you, with props, and he did not like it. Maybe because of clearance and stuff like that. Well, I'm like, that's what I do every time, so I don't care. So let him come for us, I say.
Right.
All right, let's get into the power rankings now here for week 6. We just wrapped up. We're going into week 7, so we got 4 more weeks of regular season play. And then maybe, who knows? Maybe they all make the playoffs. Maybe it'll change it by the time we get down to week 9,
Yeah, why not?
Didn't they do that one year where everyone got in? Is that crazy to me?
I don't remember that, but
not that league. Maybe XFL or something. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
That's what I was thinking of, something stupid. All right, we'll go from bottom to top. I mean, obviously, I would assume that we both have San Antonio at number 8.
Yeah. They're the party bump they got for one game did not last.
I know. It upsets me that they beat DC. It does.
Yeah. But yeah, they're not playing good football. Kevin Hogan, probably not the answer. He didn't look terrible, but he's probably not the answer.
No.
They're not turning around by adding D. Anderson either.
I like the front office still going for it, though. You know what? We got to do some trades, shake things up. Yeah, you need to trade the roster is what you need to trade. You're not a D. Anderson away from making a run here.
Right.
Okay. After that, I got Memphis at number 7, but with an arrow pointing up towards Memphis. I like what I've seen out of them the last couple weeks. Obviously, they won at Birmingham, and it was supposed to be a letdown spot going into Houston, an improving Houston team, and they played pretty well. If not, they outplayed them. Like I said, it was a big fumble for a touchdown where they lost, but win, as we say, third string quarterback is your best string quarterback for Memphis. And this offense looks good. They getting the ball out quick. It's got a purpose to it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm right there with you on the Boats being 7, but looking better. Dresser Wynn proven that he can play. So I think this is one of those quarterbacks where they come into the league like UFL, and you just look at it and you're like, this is really good for him. This is great for him to put this game tape together. Yep. It's a great experience. Like, this is what the league's supposed to be about.
100%. And he had a cup of coffee with the Rams under the McVay offense. So anyone that McVay likes in the quarterback department, you have to give him a bump for that. And but you're right. Now he goes back down there, puts some work in, and this is what he's doing. Now he's had back-to-back games versus good defenses, two of the best in the league, I think, and looked very efficient. So I like Memphis, what they're doing, going up. Might be a little too late in the season for them to get anything going, but congratulations.
And a tough matchup on deck with the Battlehawks. So
ooh,
it'll be interesting.
Those Battlehawks are vulnerable. That'll be interesting. Now I'm looking forward to the maybe we'll do a little look ahead line just to take a look after we do the power ranking, since show is a little slower because we didn't take 20 minutes to bash the league here. All right, so we both have San Antonio. We both have Memphis. 6, I have Houston. Again, Houston 3 out of 4, just not in the level above where the teams above them are. They're the best of the worst. Houston is what they are. And of course, AJ Smith, always terrifying, but with McClendon and that scoring defense, we already went over with them. Arrow also pointing up with Houston, a team that not a lot of teams probably want to play going down the stretch,
Yeah, absolutely. The announcers mentioned that I think it was last week. They're like, and nobody wants to see Houston right now. And like, well, we can maybe pump the brakes a little on that, but they have looked better. The defense is playing very well, and McClendon, he's thrown it as good as anybody in the league. I mean, as far as the throws he's making, he's not making boneheaded mistakes. So yeah, seeing eye to eye with you there though, because even though they've looked better, I just can't put them above any of these other 5 teams.
And you're right, McClendon. Usually that was McClendon's MO. I remember when the Vegas Vipers, when he would get in there, and like he would make some boneheaded mistakes because he wanted to show off that arm or not. I ask you this: we talked about how the players play for Tony Meatball there. Even though he does some decisions, but he's rallied them. He's said to folks. Curtis Johnson, I think, is kind of like maybe a lower version of that. I think they do like playing for him, because he's such an interest. I think it's more out of curiosity, like sense of humor. They just want to hear what he says next because he's just hilarious. And they put it out there for him, but they're like, he's just too funny.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of what I had heard Coach K hearing from some of the people that cover the league, that the players do really like him.
Yeah.
He has great sound bites. Even this weekend, he said, don't embarrass me on TV or something. And it's like, Coach, you do a pretty good job at that yourself.
There's montages of you, Coach. It's on the UFL website of all your sound bites.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shout out to Coach K and the gang down there in Houston who do support a team. I believe they go out there to tailgate and they send us pictures every week. So good for them, and good. I'm glad Houston's turned it around a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, now as things get interesting, I believe in the top 5 here. You can throw a blanket over a lot of these teams, and it all depends on preference here. I went with Arlington at 5, only because, like you said, I mean, if you look at the macro version of Arlington, and I thought there was value at them preseason at 11-1 to win, for a future. I'm glad I still have it. I still like Stoops. Perez, King of Spring, was a little maybe overvalued or overhyped. Now there's kind of regression of him coming back down. That performance on Friday night was too much to not to overlook there. So I have Arlington at 5. Shout out to D Hunter though, who did have 88 total yards, which was almost half of their total yards of the game. But Perez has to clean it up. He's got the book narrative. I still have belief in them that they can do something in this league. That's for sure. That's what we'll talk about with that Michigan line. But right now, I mean, scoring 6 points at St. Louis, that's pathetic. You got to put them at 5.
Yeah. I thought I was going to have to defend this position, but seeing eye to eye with you there, mine partially was I had belief in Perez, and I voiced that belief, and then he looked like that. So it's a little bit of spite. I thought about putting him a little bit higher because Bob Stoops is a good coach. He has a good defense. But yeah, you can't have your quarterback turn the ball over like that. You can't just put up 6 points. It just wasn't good enough. And if they can't turn that around quickly, they're going to see themselves fade out of this playoff talk quickly.
Yeah, it was just so disappointing because the week before, I mean, obviously it was at home, but that shootout with DC, maybe that says something more like you were talking about DC's defense just being, very leaky. But just to put up 6, that was just pure Perez. It was just pure Perez. It's just what he does. So yeah, we both agree on that. Arlington 5. I'll take the L on that. The ARL on that. 4, though, I have your St. Louis Battlehawks. again, the opposite end of that game. 12 points wasn't impressive either. Even though they came off a great shootout by beating Michigan and a game they were outgained on, but they're starting to get some momentum. Obviously they have the best home field advantage in football. But at the same time, Max Dugan, he's not Manny Wilkins. He's efficient. He does what he can, but it's just something's just not there with them. And the victories seem they're squeezing them out, and it's like a lot. Yeah. It's a lot more harder work than it should be.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for Duggan, I think he runs as well as Wilkins. He doesn't pass as well yet.
Right.
That's kind of what I've been seeing. I'm glad we finally have a disagreement, so it's not all the same. I've got your DC defenders at number 4.
Yep.
Tamu is still slinging the ball, but he is kind of a risky slinger. He's a gunslinger that is going to turn over the ball some, and just that defense has not looked great. They need to turn their defense around so that they can remain competitive. Otherwise, you are going to see teams like Michigan walk all over them.
That's true. Now, as I will defend DC, and I'll defend them even more when we get to them on my rankings, which is way up in the rankings. That was 2 back that I know Colby would love to shit on the concept of a road game in this league, but those were 2 back-to-back tough road games they had to go against there in Arlington and then in Michigan back-to-back. Mm-hmm. So the schedule spot wasn't the greatest for them. So I'll give them the benefit of the doubt there. Okay, so you have DC at 4. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of people have dropped them down to 5 but like I understand that was the prominent game. My number 3. And I went back and forth on this one too, and I'm going to put Birmingham at 3. I'm not going to give them credit for beating San Antonio 26-3. In a game you should have won and probably should have won more handily than you did. The score looks great, but I mean, like I said, he doesn't drop that touchdown there. You got a tight ball game in there. But San Antonio is just that pathetic. So I think they're a brand name team. Obviously, they're the dynasty, but they have not looked great this year. And now their quarterback room is still a mess. You've already detailed that. They're bringing in a 5th guy. They're moving guys from IR. They're getting guys out of retirement. So I'm not ready to put them in the top 2. So I'll keep Birmingham at 3, not giving them full credit. Congratulations on beating San Antonio.
I'm sure they're still number 1 on Colby's, but I also have them at 3 for all the reasons you said, and just, they're not as dominant. I mean, 4.9 yards per play against a Brahmas team that is not showing a lot of spark on defense anyways. You expect better from them, and maybe part of that is bias because they've looked so good previously that we just expect more from them. But that's what happens when you're a good team. I mean, all this, it's always narrative based, right? When you're making these decisions, and the narrative right now is that Birmingham's not the team they used to be, and I don't think they're the best team in this league.
Right? Oh, absolutely. So we both have them at 3, which makes me at number 2 is my DC Defenders. I've had them number 1 for the last couple of weeks. I didn't want to drop them too far. Obviously, I only dropped them 1 spot after Michigan handled them, but I already made my argument for why DC did show up to that game a little bit. The score could have been a lot closer. They do belong on the same field. They're a team that, did beat Birmingham. I'm not going to, that's one of the reasons why I did put them ahead of Birmingham. They beat them head to head. But at the same time, I like their offense. I like Tamu. I like Roland. I like the consistency. When you talk about the UFL, that's what you want. You want a consistency week to week of your, you don't want the rotating quarterbacks coming in, getting guys off of the retirement page, and they have that. But the defense is definitely a problem. But I think they can go toe to toe with anyone. I'm pretty confident at DC number 2. Who's your number 2?
So we have DC and we have the Battlehawks flipped for each other. So maybe it's a little bias on my part. I'll admit that. I like how their defense has played. We talk about Arlington only put up 6 points. Well, the Battlehawks defense did show up for that.
Yeah.
And then Duggan, he probably doesn't give them as good of opportunity as Wilkins did, but he's still been playing fairly well for his first couple starts here. I think Tony Meatball, he's got this UFL coaching down. I know when he first came in the league and in the XFL there, it was kind of questionable, but I think he's got it down, and this team seems to love him.
Yeah, they do. And of course, you have the home field advantage. And luckily for you, you have the league on their side at St. Louis. So anytime you have that in your back pocket, a league that's literally bending over backwards to try to get you into the playoffs, it's always going to make your power ranking position look good.
Absolutely.
So number 1, we both have Michigan. I can take it here. Is that by my mathematics? I think that's what came up there.
Yep, absolutely.
And that great St. Louis defense that you talked about, Michigan played them 2 weeks ago and put 400 on them. That's back-to-back 400-yard games for Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, like we said, I mean, Colby's right about this. I know he's Prince Perkins, but since they finally allowed Perkins to be their QB1, he's looked great. He's made highlight reels. He played in the NFL. He probably could get another shot. Who knows? But yeah, when they flex their muscles, they're scary.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they looked good. He's a true dual threat. He's pretty good at both of them.
Yeah.
He can escape the pocket when it breaks down. So yeah, this is the team to beat right now. They look like the best team in the league, and they're going to be top of everybody's list of, hey, we need to really prepare for these guys.
Right. I think that's what the announcer meant when he said no one wants to see Houston. No one wants to see Michigan, actually.
Right.
That's,
That's more accurate.
right. All right. Well, we got a couple minutes here. Quick little time. I want to do a couple peek ahead here at the lines here for week 7. Why not? Let me take a look here and go. Let me scroll all the way down to my sports book to find the UFL. It's alphabetical, not by importance, but it is right above volleyball and water polo at mybookie.ag. Friday night, the disaster game of the year so far. Every Friday night, it's just been bad, and this one doesn't look any better. DC at San Antonio. Line is 7 for DC. You can get San Antonio on 255 on a money line if you feel foolish, and the total is 36. I was thinking in my head as we were going through these power rankings here and just talking about DC. DC is going to be an auto overplay for me until further notice. How bad their defense is and how many points they can put up. But the exception for that might be when they're playing San Antonio.
Right.
I mean, San Antonio has to do their part, and I don't. And right now, I'm not confident they can.
Yeah, and maybe Kevin Hogan in a second start, if they stay with him, maybe he'll be able to move it a little bit more. But yeah, that is a tough one. But a good spot for DC, who's lost 2 straight, and they need a win. So it's a great spot for them to have the show or the Brahmas on board.
Yeah. DC did not lose 2 straight. They won that Renegade game. There was a big comeback.
Oh, that's right.
They won this big comeback. They could have lost that game for sure, though. But you're right. They do need this. They need this after getting embarrassed by Michigan like that. And you have, NFL athletes tweeting about the other quarterback. That's never a good thing. Like, oh, this is the one UFL game you're watching. So I see myself there, not to give away our picks, but I see myself laying the wood there with DC. Another one until further notice. I'm going against San Antonio, and I'll probably sprinkle in the over. And then let's see, you got a Saturday, just the one game. It's Michigan Arlington. Already talked about in the chat. I'm seeing -1, so that pick 'em already moved, but you can get -112, which is a pretty cheap money line. It's basically the same thing. Total 43.5. What do you like here? Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, this is a hard one to kind of handicap at face value because you want to jump right on Michigan. They've been the best looking team, but I mixed Arlington and DC. Arlington's the one who has lost 2 straight.
Yes.
They lose this one. It's going to be hard catching back up to DC and St. Louis.
Yeah, not to tip my hand, but I'm thinking this might be a spot where Arlington can get this win and surprise Michigan. Michigan coming off that big effort and Arlington needing it. I like that call.
Yeah.
43.5. I mean, I'm not playing any unders anytime soon when it comes to Michigan or even games at Arlington. We've been saying how the overs have been hitting a lot lately just because as teams get better offensively. Yeah. Sunday doubleheader, Houston at Birmingham. Birmingham lane 6, total 39, plus 232 in the money line. Nobody wants to see Houston right now. I'll tell you that, J. Mark. Is 6 points too much for Birmingham to be laying this Houston team?
Yeah, I don't know if I trust him. I mean, like we said, Houston's been playing hard, and to your point to the overs, I mean, Aaron Dolan does remind us about 4 times a game how it was all the unders hitting, and now it's the overs. So
and we love when she's shocked when the in-game total jumped like 20 points when there was 3 touchdowns scored within a minute. Like, that's what's going to happen. They adjust to what's happening in the game.
Right. Yeah. No, this one's going to be an interesting one. I'm going to dive into this one, I guess, and look into it and see what the smoke signals say I should take. But it's kind of hard to bet against. It's crazy to say, but it's kind of hard to bet against the Roughnecks right now because even if they're not winning, they're playing close. They're playing hard.
Yeah. My initial reaction is that's too many points. Houston's on the way up. They're playing it tough. This is where I like them as a dog is 6 points. I don't like them as a favorite laying 4.5, and I don't like laying these numbers with Birmingham. And then finally, the final wrap-up shot there. St. Louis, your Battlehawks, your number 2 ranked Battlehawks, going to Memphis, a team that is kind of semi-scary right now. St. Louis laying 4 on the road to Memphis, plus 187 on the Memphis money line, 39 total there. This seems like a scary spot for your Battlehawks.
I agree, especially because I feel like Wynn is kind of a patient passer, and that's the kind of guys that hurt the Battlehawks. So, yeah, this one's going to be a really interesting one to watch and to see how it unfolds. Especially, I mean, if Renegades lose, then maybe the Battlehawks are thinking, "Hey, we don't have as much pressure on." So I think it could even be dependent on that game. Renegades win, Battlehawks know, shit, we can't fool around, we can't drop this. So it'll be an interesting one to watch. I like this as the last game of the weekend.
Yeah, this should be a good last game. I'm kind of excited for that one because to be honest with you, I don't know what's going to happen there. But before taking any deep dive, I mean, I would not be surprised with either result. Yeah. St. Louis win going away, or Memphis even pulls off the money line shocker upset. Who knows?
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for today's Week 6 recap show of the United Football League Gambling Podcast. Remind you to subscribe to all of our shows. The Bottom Line Bombs. You can host mine. I have Kelly Dwyer on tomorrow, the NBA writer for Yahoo. Now he's independent, so he's going to break down some playoffs. Very humorous writer. Can't actually have a guest. And follow me on X at CJ Sullivan _ Instagram, CJ Sullivan was taken _ in between each word. But J Mark, more exciting. You have a show right after this with a big guest. What do you got going on?
Yeah, so 6 Central, 4 Pacific. We're going to be on the main show, we being Miranda and I, with Sean and Kramer, tasting some whiskey. We got a guest. He's the CEO of Blind Barrels, but also former USC player. He's played for Ed Ogeron and Pete Carroll. And he's going to be walking us through this company he created where you blind battle other people over whiskeys to prove that these craft distilleries, these smaller guys, are making some really good stuff.
Oh, incredible. And, of course, subscribe to Old Fashioned Football and all the other shows on the SGPN. For Colby Dant, let me get his whole... I have a soundbite for him, too.
You're a crumb creep. I want to fight you. But you don't have the courage. You're a real crumb bum.
Hey, he's out in Colombia. He will be with us for the pick show on Thursday. He promised he'll find some Colombian cocaine Wi-Fi to jump in at one of the cafe shows there. So that'll be fantastic. So make sure to follow all of us and watch all the rest of the content. And I don't think we have any music to play us off. So let's just go.